Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Skull Meatloaf podcast. We're doing a 5-minute meatloaf today. And the Skull Meatloaf podcast, if you're new to me, ENC Tataro, we talk about healing on your own terms at any pace, any way you know how, as long as it's not at the expense of others, with a crap ton of honesty and humor. Sometimes, at least I laugh at my own jokes. One of the major things I love doing in season 7 is not only the epoxy interviews, but these 5-minute meatloafs that we kind of adopted from last season. And one of the things that I'm noticing in the world, okay, and just in general, we like things short and sweet. Something to percolate on, slow cook like barbecue ribs. And those of you that don't slow cook them, we might have to have a conversation, even though this is about moral compass and right or wrong. Can't say there's a right or wrong or gatekeep a way to do it. But let's slow evolve those bad boys, just like ourselves, right? Um, and just like a juicy, tender, okay, I'm done doing personification and analogies, but let's bring the skull meatloaf, something else juicy, and talk about high horses and moral compasses today. People sitting up on those high horses. And some of you are so high, we're kind of putting pilots to shame. Pilots are starting to get jealous how high you can go, right? They say that there's a high enough that like where pilots can be unsafe in a plane, but yet we don't see people when they have their high horses with that. And I find that a lot of people on their highest horses have a lot of projection and jealousy issues. Now, one thing, jealousy is actually an emotion that we experience, okay? It's something that we can feel, but things like possession or being possessive is something where it's an act that we have a choice of, right? And possession of information, of knowledge, of things, of areas like gatekeeping and other things in industries can actually sometimes be more harmful than helpful. You know, I get one thing if you got to copyright a book, but another thing is you can't copyright life and existence and how to do this shit because I can tell you a lot of us are still trying to figure it out. For those of you that, are experiencing people with high horses and rigid moral compasses, I want to say that you are the only person in your skin 24/7, 365. So, how can people engage with how people should make decisions if they only have 5% of the story? And even those of us that have families that have seen more than that percentage, they still have a lot of pages missing. They have a lot of things where it's difficult. People swoop in and try to give you their 2 cents. But with your freedom of thought, I think of self agency, existence, right? Your existence and lived experience, and your skills, you have the final say. Nobody knows you better than you do. That is a very important thing to know. And I understand that moral compasses, right, as the ability to navigate right and wrong. Right. A moral compass, I think, is not only something from lived experiences, from family, from culture, from things that we take in, and how we compile them into our own compasses. Not only is that unique, but also the user is unique. Our greatest gift that you will hear me see off and on is self evolution, self regulation, and the ability to not only have that compass, to be able to have that compass is evolving with us. And the hardest thing, if they have set directions and there's high rigidity, it's really difficult to grow. Now, I know that from my own experience that things like safety, right? Safety, violence, isms, things that are really hurtful to yourself and others. Those are my biggest boundaries. Those are where my moral compass has developed. And I've really learned to expand what I see as wrong. Who the fuck am I to say what's wrong for you or what's right for you? Who am I to say those things? That's why you hear me say a lot in my podcast. You're going to see it a lot in my book that's coming out. When I say that, develop and have freedom of thought. And as long as it's not hurting other people, it's about how to like be okay with that. If you aren't hurting anybody, why is somebody else's moral compass more valid, reliable, or used more? Lived experience in biology made that moral compass for me, not somebody else. And as soon as you're 18, you really have that ability to continue to develop that more. So let's consider maybe jumping down from our high horses and realizing maybe that not each compass is made by the same manufacturer. It's not the same user. So as you're looking at those things, consider that growing is putting the compass away. Maybe using your freedom of speech, not telling other people how to exist and live or to utilize their compass. Move away from humans potentially like being your hobbies and not inserting yourself in other people's adventures. And also know when to pull yours out. Know when to pull your moral compass and know that you have a voice and a view and are your own adventurer. It's your boat. We've talked about that in past episodes. It's just a little food for thought. And one of the things that this is considerations for self evolution for the greater good. That's ultimately what we're doing. We're taking every step within ourselves to help those, ourselves, our loved ones, to be a little bit of a safer place. And when I say a braver space, that's my favorite thing is a brave space. And, I'm happy to have you here. I can't wait to see you for the next epoxy episode, which is episode 9. And I know that you'll love it. And here's the end to another 5-minute meatloaf of things to consider, evolve, and as always, heal on. My sweet friends, make sure to check me out on all platforms. And remember, mindful media, everything is educational. It gives you a place to start, but it's not the answer. I'm only one person, just as you are. We'll talk to you guys real soon. And I hope you have a great week. We'll see you soon.